Fantastic. All right, have a good meeting.
Okay, well set up. All right,
Thanks, Seth.
all right, with that, we will call to order the Thursday, February 20th, 2025, Scituate Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Scituate Zoning Board of Appeals is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there is disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate commit to these standards, support and respect our community. The Scituate ZBA meets in person and via Zoom. All meetings are recorded and can be viewed on Scituate Community Television, Facebook Live. Recorded meetings are available the following day on Comcast Channel 9 and YouTube, Scituate Community Television. All right, with that, we will call the first application, Whitmar M. Charles, 175 Maple Street, Scituate, Mass. Requesting special permit finding in accordance with NPL Chapter 48, Section 6, Section 810 of the Scituate bylaws, and there are any other relief the board of appeals can.
He's online.
Sir, are you on? He is online. All right.
He cannot, I'm sorry, who are you looking for?
Whitmore Charles.
Okay.
Mr. Charles.
Yep, Mr. Charles, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
We have Whitmore Charles, and with me is my engineers, Steve Dunbar, who is going to speak on my behalf on the revised plans that were submitted, in response to the last meeting to address some of the questions that the board had.
Absolutely.
So I know he's on the Zoom, so I don't know if you're able to also unmute him so that he can explain kind of what the changes were,
Yep.
address your question.
Can we ask him to raise his hand?
Mr. Dunbar, you're good to go. You can unmute yourself.
There we go.
Thank you very much. So good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Appreciate the time to talk to you tonight, and also appreciate going first. That's very nice. My name's Steve Dunbar. I'm the owner of Dunbar Engineering and Management out of Franklin, Mass. You're probably wondering why I'm doing work in your backyard. That's because Whitmore was connected to me by his surveyor, Moran Surveying, who just completed the most recent survey that I've used for this design. He's out of Pembroke, Mass. To submit this plan, I looked at that most recent survey as well as the state LiDAR, Scituate GIS. I looked at the test pit data, which was witnessed by a Board of Health agent to get the seasonal high groundwater table. I also looked at the soil data from the NRCS. I utilized Whitmore's architectural drawings to place the correct size building on the lot that you see on that plan on the screen. And I looked at the applicable regs, state regs, plus the Scituate specific regs like zoning, stormwater, and the Title V supplement. As you can see, the site's it's 14,532 square feet. It slopes very gradually at roughly average of 2% from the southwest corner to the northeast corner. So basically, if you're looking at it from the street, from the front right corner to the back left. Wetlands are identified by others approximately 50 feet beyond the back of the property. You can see those wetland flags.
Yep.
Top right corner of the screen. Like I said, from the test pits, the seasonal high groundwater tables at about 3 feet. The new dwelling placement meets all the zoning, understanding meets all the zoning setback requirements.
Yep.
With the dwelling footprint and the proposed driveway, the increase in impervious area is now 62.8%. So the stormwater bylaw applies. Looking at options for the best management practices in low impact development. There weren't a lot of options for me due to the limited lot size and the high groundwater table. And so the plans that I submitted proposes 2 1-foot deep rain gardens to store and recharge the entire 10-year storm. So that's 4.86 inches of rain. 1 rain garden's in the front for the driveway and the front lawn, and a second one in the back for runoff from the roof, the entire roof, and approximately 90% of the backyard. So it reduces the 10-year storm offsite runoff from 1.11 CFS to 0.08. So it's like a 93% reduction. Both rain gardens are inside of the 10-foot offset to all property lines. As noted on the development plan, the first sheet, it requires a net 4 cubic yards of fill approximately between the 75 and 100-foot wetland buffer and 17.5 cubic yards of cut just inside the 75-foot buffer line, which is pretty much the volume of that proposed rain garden. So before you have, I'm sorry.
No, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. We
Okay,
didn't say-
yeah, I was just gonna, before you, I take your questions, I did want to point out a couple of things. So I just went out to the site yesterday to verify the elevations at the test pits. And after doing that, my assumption of the elevation at the test pits was wrong. So the actual, if you go by the 3 foot that was determined by the test pits, the groundwater table back there where the rain garden and septic system are proposed is 94.3. So that puts me 7 to 8 inches shy of the 3 feet required for water resource protection area. That was an oversight on my part. So I'd like to get, discuss some options for that. I could raise the bottom elevation of both systems, which would require some additional fill in the wetland buffer area. I could reduce the volume, reduce the volume capacity for the rain garden so that it at least handles the first 1 inch of rainfall. And I don't know if there's an option for a variance to be granted for some portion of that 7 to 8 inches. The second item was the front rain garden, same kind of problem. That only has right now, based on the design, has a 2 foot separation from the seasonal high groundwater. So same thing there. I can either, reduce the volume to capture the first 1 inch of rain. I could raise the bottom elevation as well, by increasing the fill in front, but that would require an increase in the foundation elevation.
All right, with that, Bob, obviously this, we needed the plan. We have a mini, so, set offs are all set. It comes to us as an undersized lot. But otherwise, from a zoning standpoint, we're good. Clearly, erosion sediment control plan, not 100% in our purview. But that being said, any comments on your part on this?
No, I think it's a lot of should be recognized and praised that the owner went to this amount of detail to present this plan to the board. I would agree that the elevation of groundwater and the impact of that on the design really isn't in the purview of the board. It does meet all zoning requirements. I would suggest the rain garden issue is more connected to either a stormwater permit, if in fact there is one connected to this project, that would be planning board, or perhaps to the Conservation Commission. And the septic system elevations, that would have to be taken up with the Board of Health to see if they could make any adjustments for their approvals of the septic system. So from, the point of view of the people in this room, I think it's a very nice project. There's no reason it shouldn't be approved. I would have one additional comment that you may want to do this, or I'd probably do it when it came in for a building permit, but I think it wants to be at least passed by the DPW, 2 curb cuts in this distance away from each other is something that the town often would have a little bit of issue with simply because of safety, getting those 2 curb cuts. I think you might want to think about a straight driveway out with a J-turn going off to the side to allow your turnaround, that kind of thing. It's not my call, but somebody would perhaps take a look at it.
So curb cut to side. Do I have any questions here?
No.
Okay. Questions, folks in the room? Questions or comments, anybody else online? Bruce is on the board.
Mr. X, you do have a question here. Mr. Arbanese, you should be able to unmute yourself. Just name, address, and go ahead with your comment.
Hello?
Let me try him again.
I asked him to.
Mr. Arbanese, if you're there. Fortunately, he's not responding right now.
Technical issue. Your motion?
I make a motion on the first application of Mayor Charles at 175 Maple Street, Scituate, who requests a special permit finding in accordance with MGL Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 10 of the Scituate bylaw, and/or any other relief the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the raising and reconstruction of a single-family dwelling located at 165 Maple Street, Scituate, per the plan of Dunbar Engineering and Management dated February 17, 2025, and the board finds that such raise and rebuild does not create any new nonconformity to the extent that it intensifies the existing nonconformity. Such intensification is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
All those in favor in the room?
Aye.
Justin, your vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Approved. Gentlemen, please take into consideration, the comments that you heard from, Bob on this. There would be some other approvals or some other considerations, but from a zoning standpoint, this is approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for the plan, very detailed, very neat. All right, I will call the second application, Rivermore Development LLC, 200 Living Park Arraignment, requesting special permit finding in accordance with MGL 48, Section 6, and Section 10, 810 of the Scituate bylaws, and any other relief available to grant to allow the construction of a new single-family dwelling and the conversion of the existing dwelling to an accessory dwelling unit on a non-conforming lot located at 33 Beaver Dam Road, Scituate. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Broadstreet. I'm a local land use and environmental attorney, and I represent the applicant Rivermore Development LLC. Mike Reynolds and Joe Ness, principals of the LLC, are here this evening. And we also have Jed Hannon, our professional engineer, virtually. As you indicated, an interesting project. We're proposing to construct a new conforming dwelling on a non-conforming lot and converting the existing two-bedroom home into an ADU. In fact, we've already been to the planning board and obtained our special permit for that conversion. So that piece of this, while relevant, is not for you. Because the lot is non-conforming, Mr. Vogel asked that we come to see you for a Section 6 finding. Property located within the R3 zoning district, which requires a minimum of 10,000 square feet of lot area, 100 feet of frontage, and 100 feet of lot width. The lot has more than that minimum requirement, 15,700 square feet, but only 90.85 feet of frontage and lot width. The lot is lawfully non-conforming, and I provided you with the citations to demonstrate that. The existing two-bedroom home is non-conforming. It extends into the rear setback, which is 20 feet. But pursuant to our special permit from the planning board, we're going to be altering that structure to make it conforming. The new principal dwelling will also be conforming. The front yard, which is required to be 30 feet, will be at 30.6 feet as seen on the site plan. And obviously Beaver Dam Road would be the top, the north of the site plan. The side yards are also conforming. We're required to have 8 feet, and we have 25.3 feet on the west side and 25.4 feet on the east side. The principal dwelling is also conforming to rear yard. As I mentioned, that's 20 feet, and this will be 67.9 feet. We have parking for 2 vehicles in the proposed attached garage, as well as 2 additional active parking spaces. Those are for additional vehicles for the principal dwelling. The ADU has already its own conforming parking. So under the circumstances, the section 6 finding is appropriate. There's no new non-conformity. We're not doing anything to change the configuration of the lot. The use is allowed as a matter of right, and the property has been historically used for single-family dwelling. And the construction of a new conforming principal dwelling, if it intensifies any non-conformity, which it doesn't, because it conforms, but if it did, it will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure. So we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have a big one?
A big, one of that, yeah.
Yeah, the big one. Yeah, this one.
I gave you.
No, you gave it a different one.
You would agree to consult.
Yeah, you gave me,
Oh,
Site plan from Atlantic to post engineering, excuse me. And those are the architectural plans.
yeah, that's what, the architectural plans, I see here. So- The team. So we have. So you're taking the 323 square foot dwelling, whatever it is, you're pushing that down. Right?
We're actually, the
Right, you're
existing
making that
dwelling,
maybe-
we're taking off an addition that was placed on that existing dwelling. So it becomes a 1-bedroom ADU, and that will be set back.
So the front addition, the 323 square feet to the front is what's going away, correct?
No, if I might show you.
Or back, I'm sorry.
It's
I'm saying the front. I'm sorry,
That's correct.
On the bottom of the, on the, right.
So at some point, there was an addition placed onto the
That's going
structure. That's being taken off, correct? That makes that structure conforming. And that was a condition, obviously, of the approval of the ADU. You can only have an ADU that's conforming.
So Adam, the proposed ADU, that structure is currently there.
Correct. It's an existing structure.
It's this plus that.
Yeah, so the green below it, that's being removed. to make it
Essentially,
conform.
procedurally, this is reversed, which is why it's a little unusual.
Yeah. No,
We have an existing structure that's being converted to the ADU and a new principal conforming structure.
And now there's a garage,
That's correct, attached to the principal wall.
so there's,
this is another lot.
that's the other behind us, right, so that.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's,
That's good.
that's correct. This is these are the property lines right here.
That's the blue is the property line.
Correct. There's a driveway and easement that provides access to the rear lot. Nothing is going to change with respect to that access.
So. So that is. Yeah. House. What are the set-offs? What are the set-offs for the proposed ADU?
The ADU? I don't know if Jed can haul those off to you, but
So it's 20 feet from the rear.
that's great. 20 feet from this property line. I've got 44 feet from the east. So again, the planning board has already determined that that's conforming.
But that's. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but they do.
Oh, there we go. Your frontage, yes, yeah, so 115 feet from 20 to 25 feet from the side and 25 from the rear. And from the left side, and it's more than 20 feet from the right.
It's 40 some odd, 40, from this line extended, it's 44.4. But again, the planning board has already determined that that's conforming and issued a special permit.
Yeah, you know, they did, but they did that in the absence of the dwelling. So we need to consider the whole thing. All right, so then we got that ADU. That's, so the ADU is conforming. The house. House, right, yes, the lots conforming, frontage of the are barely non-conforming. The front yard, meets the setback requirements, side yard, and rear. Back rear is 20.
67.9 feet.
The minimum, so supposedly the adjustments. And then there, and you're gonna leave the existing shed, which is on the east side of the
Yes,
property. Which, I don't know if that's, I'm going with this, but I'm wrong. Okay, I have it, we got the plan here, we got it there. You have it there. Justin has it. Okay, Bob. Comment, and we have a letter from the planning board. Asking us to take special consideration of this project. Great. And the ADU is, I'm sorry, let's just, let me see. The ADU is. It's down there, doesn't very be 842, right? Yep. So 42 is within 900, and then it is also. Okay.
That's why you took out the addition to the ADU to get them.
Correct.
Yeah.
It meets, again, it meets all of the requirements for an ADU.
Yep, and whatever.
So this was permitted under the existing bylaw. And the new bylaw won't become effective until it's passed at town meeting and approved by the attorney general.
Right. Understood. Comments?
Sorry, you're looking at me.
Yes, I'm looking at you, and then we will turn it over to the board and the.
All right, I guess first, Adam, there's no restrictions or deeded, problems, so to speak, with the right of way. You can count the entire lot for your setbacks and that sort of thing.
That's correct. It's simply an easement for the benefit of the property owners to the south, and we're not interfering at all or changing that.
Is it a common driveway, or is it something more subtle than that?
Don't know whether it was approved as a common driveway.
It probably wasn't.
It's a historic easement.
I was gonna say, it's probably been there 100 years.
Correct.
All right, so I understand the ADU has been approved. If I look at this plan in toto, I would say everything, it meets the requirements to be given permission by the zoning board to go ahead. I've got a couple of questions that kind of occurred to me recently, if you were. First, what's the proposed sequence of this project? In other words, are you gonna do the ADU first and then come in and do the primary dwelling, in which case that could be a problem because you're gonna at some point have an ADU without a primary dwelling to be the accessory dwelling too. I think there's ways around this, but it just kind of, it's an interesting situation. I think it's almost precedent setting. I've never seen the ADU created in an existing building and then you come along afterwards to build the main building.
So there was an instance where it was approved. I had that information and was provided to the planning board, so there actually is precedent in the town for
Okay, good.
doing this, which we relied upon.
Is it
As far as the construction sequence, I believe we're required to notify.
We will be doing concurrent.
Okay.
So is anybody gonna be living in what
No,
is the
no.
current residence?
No, it's unoccupied.
Okay, so the whole thing's gonna be, so it's a,
So you're not gonna end up with two houses on one lot? You're giving both.
right,
But that's why we permitted it this way.
I mean, if it's unoccupied, I have a plus, that's an issue, whether that's sort of buildings.
I guess the other thing that came up, and I think it can be certainly dealt with in the board's decision, or perhaps in the decision that Adam's going to write for the board's approval. But as I understand it, this is, the relief is being requested under, what is it, 810.2C? 810.2C gives the applicant the right to petition the board for finding to allow the proposed repair, alteration, reconstruction, extension, or structural change. Which reconstruction, et cetera, won't be more detrimental to the neighborhood. This is a brand new building. It's not any of the things that are mentioned in the language in section 810.
810 deals with pre-existing non-conforming lot.
Presumably.
Yeah, so I think, remember, what they're doing is, the pre-existing has to get approval as an ADU. It's been approved as an, or what's an ADU, but it still needs to be zoning, right? So I think the reason he's doing it, that request was made was, A, for the new building, it was the new building, right? But because of the alteration of the ADU, removes some non-conforming, right? So,
Maybe.
so the way I would think about it, if that's select, but.
Chair Six is my opinion that we don't need a section 6 finding to construct a conforming structure on a non-conforming lot. Of course, as I said, we're neither creating a new non-conformity or intensifying any non-conformity, since non-conformity relates to the lot and not the structure. But Mr. Vogel disagreed with my argument and requested that we submit.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a non-conforming lot and there's nothing on it, right, it's theoretically not buildable.
Right.
Right. Unless you have the benefit of exemptions either under the zoning act or under the local plan.
Right, understood, but, so, I think Bob is correct, I think you still need a special permit to build the main house. You know, your benefit here is that you're removing the non-conformity of the existing house, right, vis-a-vis a set-off situation. And then the set-offs in the proposed primary dwelling are all conforming, if you will, and then that leaves you with the remaining non-conformity, which would be lot area and lot width, right?
It's frontage and lot. We have private area required.
Not lot area, I apologize, front lot, which you can do about, and those are not conformed by 10%. Bob, anything else on that?
No, just one typo, if you will. The letter I got from the planning board, and you got as well, notes that the ADU is gonna be 728 square feet. And the site plan notes it as 842 square.
Was there's an issue with, there's a front room that's 3 season or something like that? Is that the discrepancy?
And we yes, that's correct. And we modified it. We modified it to conform with how the planning board wished us to describe it.
So it's being included in the living space?
I believe that's where we ended up.
Yeah, it's non-heated, it's not really a room, it's really a sunroom, so it
But we
really should
included
be
it.
carried in the square footage, because it's not a habitable space.
So it's an 842 square foot proposed ADU with 700 something square foot
Of living space.
of living space.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so that explains the discrepancy.
Does the 842 go over what would be allowed by 40% of the main house?
No, sir. Again, the planning board.
I don't even think you're close.
Yeah, not even close, and the planning board has already made that determination.
Yeah, okay. All right. Good.
Okay. board that's in the room, any questions? Yep. Question?
So right now his application is seeking relief for 10 to C. And like Bob was saying, this is not an alteration of a pre-existing structure. This is building a completely new structure, a giant new structure. That's where I'm having a big problem with it. Again, if this was an empty lot, you would not be allowed to build this without relief. The comment that it's not more detrimental, I think that's up to us to make. And I think going from an 800 square foot building that houses one family to, what's the square foot? Going to a
4,200 square foot.
yeah, to a 4,200 square foot house, yes, would be substantially more detrimental. And then looking at the elevation, yes, it is much more detrimental than that small cottage that's there now.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting, to your
So, Mr.
point.
Kreiser, again, there is an existing structure on this lot which you talked about,
Yes.
which is, again, presumably why we were asked to submit this section 6 finding under this section. So I'm not sure how you could find that that section is not applicable. With respect to substantial detriment, there's no evidence in the record of any substantial detriment, again, to the neighborhood as a result of a construction of a conforming new principal dwelling. You have no one here who's suggesting that there are impacts to traffic. You have no one here to suggest that there would be shading impacts. Those are the.
We don't know that yet. We didn't ask. But, okay, I understand what.
I was just saying that to come to a conclusion, Mr. Archie, that the proposed principal dwelling is going to be substantially more detrimental than the existing structure on that lot. I don't think there's a basis in the record for that. Simply because the house is enlarged or that there's a new structure being constructed there, I would suggest that because that structure actually conforms with zoning, I'm not sure you can actually find a finding of substantial detriment of a conforming structure.
So let me ask you, and this is not, if they had taken what is the existing house, gotten rid of that front room and built a 4,000 square foot house that was otherwise conforming off that house.
What, at a 4,000 square foot addition?
Right. Exactly. No, I'm asking the question.
It's,
So they built a 4,000 square foot addition that is otherwise conforming, and then they built an ADU, let's say, same problem.
yeah,
I'm just that, if you're viewing it as the same problem. Well, let's pause there. Let's give the community an opportunity to comment.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to hear from the community.
Yeah, and then we'll come back,
Yeah.
right? So do we have anybody in the room? Oh, I'm sorry, Justin, did you have a comment on this time? We'll come back to the board.
Nope, I'm viewing this similar to, the question you just posed to Chris. I'm trying to wrap my head at similar to what you've mentioned, George. So no questions at this time.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll pause there. Public comment. Anybody in the room that would like to comment on this, please come up or stand up so we can hear you. Name your address for the record.
Sure, Ed Anthony, 37 Beaver Dam Road, I'm the butter to the west.
The west.
So I'll be looking at this brand new structure.
Sure.
I have an issue with the part 3 of the application request for relief based on 810.2. And you've already brought it up. I mean, the title of that chapter is Structures and Uses Already in Existence. And this doesn't exist. That's my issue with it. I don't know if there was a consideration to renovate the existing home. We joked about, adding a 4,200 square foot, addition to it, but that house certainly could be renovated and increased in size. The other issue I have is runoff, is connection to municipal sewer. Suddenly, this house is going to be, as far as I know, it's going to be, an emergency hookup to the town sewer, and then the new house is going to be on the town sewer. So what is the town's position on hooking up new construction to the town sewer when there's been a moratorium forever in this town? It seems like that's almost an injustice to the people around our neighborhood who can't get on sewer. There is no sewer going down Beaver Dam Road. And so the only way to get on sewer is through emergency hookups and spaghetti lines and all this other stuff, So I have issues with that part of it.
Not within our purview, but,
Certainly, I know.
but just so everybody understands, but please express, your concerns or your concerns.
Right. There was another spot in the application that mentioned that the planning board voted on January 9th to grant a special permit and a site plan approval. And I was at that meeting and I don't remember them approving a site plan approval. I do remember the special permit. So that just may be a error or something.
Yeah, there's no site plan approval. I mean, according to,
Right.
I mean, you were there. Right?
Yes.
You were at the meeting.
Right, just.
But we have a memo from the planning board saying that no site plan approval was granted.
Okay,
There is a special permit for the ADU. That's
fair enough, okay. That's it, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room that wants to comment on this project? Once or twice. So anyone online that wants to comment on this project? Do you need the plans?
No, no hands raised.
No hands raised. Okay.
It's Richie.
Oh, I'm sorry, Elizabeth.
I answered anything, it's fine.
Been doing this too long. Back to the board, right? Thoughts, comments on this? Right, we have a planning board, you have the plans in front of you. We've heard the attorney Bronson said, we've heard from the direct abutter who was concerned about the size and scope of this project.
I'm an alternate, I'm not voting on this one, but there is nothing in the record that states that it's a substantially more, even detrimental, but even substantially more detrimental. Nothing about, light or air, traffic or anything like that. It's just not before us. And I think George, you made a good point that, obviously, there might be questions about 810C, but if they just connected the existing structure and made that an addition, then what's the difference? I don't think there is.
Yeah, the problem, so the lot is technically oversized for the zone, right? So technically, it's not a big lot. No. Right, and all the construction is not going to meet setback requirements for a lot of that size. Stormwater, whatever, aside, things that are not within our purview, I mean, there could be a great many issues with this project. But with respect to the ADU and to the primary dwelling, I agree that 810.2 A, if you will, or 810.2, we have problems applying it, but and again, this is just my opinion, right?
If I don't see the butt there.
Well, the but is, this project could be done, right, and meet all the requirements, and they would be only before us for an undersized lot if the small,
If it were,
Right, with
however, the
extended
project
building.
proposed to us is a separate structure.
yeah, I mean, I think,
Separate
I think,
frame.
that's what I'm struggling. And I'm gonna be very transparent on it, which is, it's sort of a form, it's a form issue, right? Which is, to your point, if this had been flipped, I have less problem with it, and I don't know if other members of the board have less problem, but it is bothering me because I agree with you. The front, the main dwelling is new construction. 810 does not apply, and we're in a situation where you're trying to build something that would otherwise be performing on a non-conforming lot, right? And that requires a variance, because it's not, it was otherwise, or we would otherwise be able to do that. But that's, again, my opinion. Justin, can we expand him so we can actually see him?
Can you see me?
Well, we can see you, but you're a little tiny square.
That's all right. I'm a little guy anyways.
Want you full screen.
No, George, I think I would agree with what you guys are all saying relative to, the existing being new construction, and to what Greg was saying as well. And I think if it was an addition, it aligns well with what all of you are saying. So I would agree with what you guys are all working towards.
Oh, yeah. So that's the question. I think that's what we're really struggling with.
Seth sent me a text saying the planning board wants to come on.
Beautiful. I would love the planning board to come on. I can't
I've
see.
seen Patty Lambert, but I've not seen her as a hand raised.
So that's the issue, folks. We have the plan up, so we can't see raised hands online.
Is that what it is? It's
Yeah.
bugging me?
No, you have Miss Lambert there. Miss Lambert, you should be able to go ahead.
Is she there?
Hi, good evening. Mr. Zizas, I was hoping that you were in. I'm Patricia Lambert, Chair of the Planning Board. And Mr. Brodsky was before us earlier in the month with the same project. And what we wanted you to know is that, and what we're looking for, is this is an application for a new primary dwelling and not the alteration of a non-conforming structure that is already there. And the new dwelling that does not exist does not have frontage or width. And we think it would be greatly detrimental to the neighborhood with an almost a 4,000 foot addition, square addition on Beaver Dam. That's really 3 houses on one piece of property.
So, Ms. Lambert, I was not at the meeting. So I understand that the planning board approved the ADU, but without a house, right, the approval of the ADU it's just you can't have it. It's not an ADU, it's not accessory to anything. So I'm assuming, and please, comment as you see fit, that was contingent, right, on new construction, right? Because they did present it, again, I'm just trying to get this straight. They did present it as existing dwelling that we're going to demolish the back of, right? And then we're going to convert that to an ADU. Great. But then there's a new building.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So
Chair Zixis, just so you know, we presented that new building also to the planning board to demonstrate the point you're making.
Right. Did you present these plans? I wasn't there and I haven't seen them. These plans were presented. Okay, so they were aware of the building, right? Yes. What they approved was an ADU, right? And then they have left it to us to make a decision on fundamentally the. Correct. That's what I just. Okay. All right. Got it. Do we have any more comments from the folks online?
No, we do not.
Yes, Bob, please.
Just to comment on the context of substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood and the size that's proposed for this project. From my experience and also documents that I've got right now in front of me in the office, there'll be a house right across the street this size, newly constructed. And there's a house near the corner of Jericho and Beaver Dam, at least this size, that was just constructed. And I can't see how this house would be any more detrimental or less detrimental or change the neighborhood in any way.
Are all those lots similarly, they're similarly sized?
I actually think this lot, because it's so deep,
Yes.
is actually a better situation than those lots.
Sure, Zixis, I would ask that, we did not do this in a vacuum, so we have consulted with the various authorities within the town as to how to do this. The thought now that we're here, what I thought was going to be a rather straightforward discussion regarding a special six finding, which, as I said, I don't think we need, but in any event, we're here in compliance with that, to have a change of position by the municipality as to how this should be reviewed is problematic for the applicant.
You know,
I don't understand. I don't understand what you're saying.
Sure,
Yeah.
so we sequenced this after consulting with the building department. We presented this to the planning board. They were told that there was going to be a new dwelling there. They were shown the new dwelling. They approved an ADU on reliance upon the new dwelling. So for the planning board to come forward and advocate against the new dwelling, I find to be problematic. They didn't have jurisdiction over it, so technically it's your call. But everything is being done consistent with your zoning requirements. With respect to section 810, section 810 generally relates to any lawful structures or any lawful use of land or structure.
Yeah.
And again, we were specifically referred to sections as to what we should do here. I agree that the language here doesn't anticipate what's presented to you, but that doesn't mean that you can't make a reasonable interpretation to apply to this unique set of circumstances. Again, this is not the first time that this has been done in Scituate. You could rely upon section 6 of 48 for the finding. If you don't find that your bylaws are stringent to the minimum requirements of the zoning act, I guess you can make your finding under 48 section 6, but not under the zoning bylaw. But you can't have it both ways, is what I'm suggesting, respectfully.
So I was trying to read 810-1 while I was talking, and I couldn't. Maybe you can wrap your head around it faster than I can. Can you make an argument that we're seeking relief under 810-1? That's what I'm trying to read it and trying to process it at the same time.
Well,
And I don't think it's.
fundamentally, I don't think we need relief.
That's what you're saying is, right.
That's right, but again, we were directed by Mr. Vogel, come here, so you make the section 6 finding. I mean, he could have made the section 6 finding, but you appropriately wanted to consult with you. But why do I need a section 6 finding?
Because it's an undersized lot, or it's you don't have to.
So, but are we creating any new nonconformity or intensifying any new nonconformity? Proposing a conforming structure on a lot that has historically had a principal single-family dwelling on it. We're simply replacing one single-family dwelling for another, and we're creating a new ADU that's been already approved by the planning board. It's consistent entirely with your bylaw.
I want to take the ADU discussion out of it.
But you can't, is what I'm suggesting.
Yeah,
If there wasn't an ADU, so if there wasn't an ADU and the existing single family lot, let's abstract this out, and the existing single family house on the lot was raised.
Yeah.
And they want to do a raise and reconstruct.
Yeah.
Right? Granted, lack of frontage, block width, everything else, and it's this house, right? It's the house as proposed. They say, we're gonna get rid of the structure in the back, right? It's non-conforming, right? It's up against the back. We're gonna create something that is otherwise conforming on a lot that is big enough but not wide. Right? So we're taking a house, replacing it with another house. Forget the ADU. Right? I think in that situation, generally, we would say, we understand, you're reducing or eliminating a nonconformity by the new construction of the raise and reconstruct of an existing dwelling, right? Hasn't been abandoned, it's existing. Right? In that situation, we would say, okay. What is interesting here, right? And this is why we're trying to wrap our head around, again, some of the sequencing is what they're doing is they're not raising and reconstructing, right? To your point, right? They're building a new house. Now, arguably, and they're converting this one to save on construction costs. Arguably, right? If in alternative universe, they bulldozed the existing structure and they built this plan, right? Right? That's a otherwise conforming, right, replacing, right? And then per state law, right, an ADU, as of right, under the state law, right? And been approved by the planning. So again, I think the fact that they're maintaining the building in this particular situation, I mean, I am struggling with it because that's not how the bylaw reads, and it's not how one would contemplate constructing a main house and an ADU. But at the end of the day, you would get there anyway, right? And I agree. I mean, it's a big house on a not so big lot, and you're building, you effectively have, and Patty's right, it's like 3 houses on a lot. It's a lot.
You're gonna make the argument that this is happening right up the street, a bigger house, completely up the street, it's happening all around town, so.
Where's
I think they're all substantially more detrimental, but, I want to maintain the character in generally speaking.
Again, I'm gonna respectfully just agree with you. The only thing I would add to this is that keep in mind that Massachusetts legislature changed the law to make ADUs as a matter of right. Because of the lack of housing. So this is entirely consistent with the state legislature is trying to achieve, which is to create more residential housing units in Scituate. Now, maybe people in Scituate don't like that. But that is entirely consistent with what the legislature and the governor is trying to achieve.
And I don't think anybody really cares about the ADU. I think everybody's at some level okay with the ADU. It's sort of the total square footage. What I'm hearing from the abutters, the planning board, is the total square footage of the project, right? Sure, the ADUs has a right, but you're building an ADU and a 4,300 square foot, whatever it is, 4,200 square foot home on a 15,000 square foot, not wide enough.
Which conforms in all respects to your dimensional requirements. I mean, to your point, Chair Zixis, do you want us to come back in with a new application for a new house? Forget about the ADU, we'll take down the ADU, then have to come back and reconstruct an ADU, make us take down a perfectly good structure to achieve what you're trying to accomplish here?
And I understand your point.
I mean, and a structure that would be allowed as a matter of right without the need, it would need site plan review. That's my understanding is that the new bylaw. Essentially, you go through the same process again, except you don't need a special permit. It seems nonsensical to require an applicant to do that. Take out a perfectly good structure, get a special permit for the new structure, and then come back in and get a site plan approval to rebuild the structure that you just took down. I think that's unfair to the citizens of the town.
I think it puts a burden on the zoning, which is also part of that. Justin, I'm not asking you how you're going to vote. I'm asking you, are you ready to vote?
I would be prepared to make a vote. Yes, George.
Okay. Are you ready to vote, or do you need more clarity? How are you going to vote? And these guys aren't. So
To this point, if I might start,
please,
which is that if there's an inclination to deny this relief, I'm going to request a continuance to consider withdrawing this petition. Because I don't want to be barred for 2 years coming back to you and present you the same thing in a different
format. Yeah. So
that's not fair.
So I didn't say it was.
I don't like the idea of granting relief to 810-2C. It really doesn't apply.
How about
I'm trying to find the
well,
alternative.
we can write it under just generally
810,
Or
or says it
section.
under 40A, section 6.
Well, we read it. Well, we can do an and or.
Yeah.
Right, section 810 and or section 6. Right, and they can write it. If
You said you
we,
go for free.
that's right, well, they're gonna write it. and then
Well,
we'll-
you're not gonna pay for it, so.
Do you have feedback? We haven't heard from
We have one about it.
We haven't heard, like the one behind.
We have no other commentary. Yeah. I mean, yeah, and again, very valid points, right? Sure. Very well understood, and that's kind of what was going on.
If you would, the other abutter is selling his house.
house.
Okay, well, that explains it.
But just to add in,
I assume it's not because of this project, but
Well.
it's not clear.
just to add in, a butter behind us is for this project and bless the project. So it's a planning board,
One who sold it.
but they still live behind us.
Understood, so thank you. Any other thoughts, Rick?
No, George, I mean, I have no problem with it. I think the sequencing is unique, but I don't think it's fatal, and I think
Yeah,
you end up with, again, as Adam said, you
I mean,
have to destroy a perfectly good house to get the exact same result in the end.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make a motion on the second application of Rivermore Development LLC, 200 Liberty Parkway, Weymouth, Mass. Requesting a special permit and finding in accordance with MGL Chapter 48, Section 6, and or Section 810 of the Scituate bylaw, to allow the construction of a new single-family dwelling and the conversion of the existing single-family dwelling to an accessory dwelling on a non-conforming lot located at 33 Beaverdam Road, Scituate, Mass, pursuant to the plan dated October 28, 2024, as drawn by Atlantic Coast Engineering. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right, unanimous. Project is granted.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, I think my earlier commentary, I think it's very difficult for us to not approve it if it's sequenced differently.
You know, it's the sequencing, I think it's the 8.2 sketch, so I don't like saying it under that. I mean,
Yes, sir.
yeah, you're right.
It hasn't, I agree with you.
But I'm kind of, there's no reason, but.
Yes, sir. I understand your difficulty. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will call the third application, with that, we will call the third application of Daniel F. Sense, 18 Gannett Road, requesting a special permit finding in accordance with MGL Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 810.28 of Scituate bylaws, to allow the construction of an addition to an existing single-family dwelling. Do we have somebody for that project here? Come on. Okay. Thank you for that, and name and address once you're settled for the record, please.
Thank you, Rick Brady from Brady Consulting, along with the architect for the project, Julie Johnson, here in the back row.
Hello, both. She can come up if she wants. Otherwise, she, okay, just sit back there. if she wants.
All right, tell me where to get my glasses.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ready?
Yeah,
All right.
through it.
So this is an existing lot of 18 Gannett Road, created in 1944. It's an existing house on property that was constructed approximately in 1910. Concrete zoning, the existing lot size is 6,290 square feet. Basically, they'd like to square off the house by putting a small addition off the back of the house, 6 foot by 11.8 foot. No closer to any of the property lines than currently exists. We've provided, it's less than 20% increase in the floor area. We've provided the zoning chart for you with the existing front yard setback conforming to 30 feet, 30.1 feet. Left side setback stays the same at 17.1 feet. Right side yard setback stays the same at 11.9. Rear yard stays the same at 21.7. Lot width is 64 feet versus 100 feet required for the zoning district. Yeah, so we think this meets all of the criteria for the board to grant a special permit under section 810.2A for alteration of a non-conforming structure.
So you're adding basically 75 square feet on the first floor and the second floor, and then blowing out the third floor a little bit,
Correct.
right? So really the impact to the lot itself is about, a net addition of about 75 square feet. Right?
Yeah, 6 by 11.2, so 72 square feet roughly, yes.
Square feet,
Yeah.
okay. So I did read this.
Right.
Okay. And then
square you go.
yeah, so it's the dotted, right? And then the main square footage addition is really on the third floor. You're pointing it out a little bit. Bob, questions, comments on this?
No, I mean, the fact that it's under 20% might mean that it could be permitted by the building department without zoning board input, but the fact that the wording says the new construction needs to meet required setbacks kicks it to the board. So
Right.
even though it's quite small, because it's extending an existing line of the house within the required setbacks, that's why it's here.
If it was just a third floor construction, it's not an issue. Okay, commentary from the room, public, and once, going twice, commentary from the public online.
No hands raised.
Okay, board comments? No. Justin? Anything? I
good.
can't see your face, buddy. Okay, no, it's not your fault. All right, you wanna make the motion?
Make a motion on the third application of Sills 18 Gannett Road, request a special permit finding to 48, section 810.2A of Citizens bylaw and our brief steel and grant. Law construction of an addition to an existing single-family dwelling per the plan of Grady Consulting dated January 13, 2025. Board finds that such addition does not create any new nonconformity to the extent that it intensifies any existing nonconformity. Such intensification is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is
Have a good night.
Great plan, very simple. One other key lesson. Okay, we will take the fourth application. Next, of Matthew Jarrett, 13 Gordon Rock. Requesting a special permanent finding in accordance with MGL chapter 48, section 6, and section 810 of the laws, to allow the construction of an addition to a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. Sir, name and address for the record.
Matt Jaros, 13 Gordon Road in Scituate.
Sir, welcome.
Thank you.
Run us through the
Thanks for having
project.
me. I saw Rick from Stenbeck and Taylor on. I don't know if he was here for me, if you could unmute him for a second.
Ask him to mute.
Rick's who put these plans together.
He should be with us.
Yes, this is Rick Samant. I am here, Matt. I happen to be here for the meeting after this, but need any assistance, I will.
I think I can handle it, but while you're here, in case
Sure, of
questions
course.
come up. Thanks,
Yep.
Rick. Cool. All right, board. I guess I will just open this up. As you can tell, I am the homeowner, so I don't often do these things.
That's okay.
If you have questions, please just stop me. So my wife and I bought this house on Borden Road a few years back. Since then, we've expanded our family. We had our first daughter last year. We actually just found out we have another on the way, so
Congratulations.
please keep that on the down low.
Because it is in fact, we're recording.
I don't think they're tuning in
By
there.
tomorrow, anybody that is watching this
Yeah.
will know.
I don't think they'll be tuning in, so we'll be all right.
Okay.
So we're looking to just expand the house a little bit with an addition off the back.
Yep.
The lot itself is a little bit small. It's non-conforming in that regard, as well as the frontage is not what it needs to be. And the distance to the street as well is short of what it should be. Otherwise, the addition that we're proposing putting on does conform to all the setbacks and everything. And it will not impact any of the things that are non-conforming about the lot, so.
Yeah, so that's, I think that's right. We have
The original.
front setback doesn't move. Left side and right side setbacks don't move. The rear setback, can confirm. Yeah. It's, there's some wetlands in the back, but this is a sort of a long skinny lot.
Yeah.
And then you can put the,
We had to go through the conservation committee as well, and they approved it. It's been a process.
Well, you know,
That's good.
it is, but, it saves you the trouble of selling and moving, right? Do we have any, Bob, I'm sorry. You first.
Okay with me.
You good? Commentary from anybody here? No. Commentary, anybody online?
Nope.
I'm good.
Okay. Questions from the board?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very straightforward project.
I make a motion on the fourth application of Matthew Jaros of 13 Border Road, who requests a special permit finding in accordance with MGL chapter 48, section 6, section 810 of the Scituate bylaw, and any other reason before being appealed may grant to allow the construction of addition to a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. Per the plan of Denbeck and Taylor, dated November 22, 2024. The board find that such addition does not create any new nonconformities, and to the extent it satisfies any existing nonconformities, such intensification is not substantially more detrimental to the unit.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Justin?
Aye. Yes, sir. Aye.
Granted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good job on your first try.
Thank you. Yeah, 1 for 1, right?
Right.
1 for 1. Hopefully I won't have to be back for.
Thank you. We will call the fifth applicant, 11 Louise Lane, Scituate, Mass, requesting special permit finding in accordance with MGL 48, section 16, section 810, of the Scituate bylaws, to allow the construction of an attached garage with living space above, to a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, yes, Dan Runnels, 11 Louise Lane. I'm here to request an appeal. It's actually very similar to what Mr. Jowers just requested there. Same situation, growing family and 2 young boys in town. We moved into the house in 2015 and are busting at seams right now. The existing property has a rear setback of 16 feet, which is below the zoning requirement 30. The proposed addition off the front is within conformity, right? So we are not expanding on any non-conforming and are requesting approval under section 8 as well.
So this is a straight bump out the front, right?
Yep, come out
from
No, really.
there. So, right.
No comments.
Comments? Road,
Nothing online.
community comments online, board questions?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, see?
Sorry,
That's-
somebody's hand came up.
Yes, please. Well, our apologies, we didn't see it. We're having a little.
Are you there?
Yeah, hi. Can
Hi.
you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, this is Bruce Arbanese. I have to say that I tried to respond to your first property today, but apparently my 6-month-old laptop's microphone died. So,
Sorry, Bruce.
so I've been doing some PC work here, but using my wife's iPad now. My comment is, since this property is in the Water Resource Protection District, I'm wondering what the impervious coverage is with the proposed expansion.
I do have my engineer Rick from Steinbeck and Taylor on.
Rick.
We do have the pavement down the side of the lot there that is impervious, that if we have issues with creating any additional wattage, we could rip that up.
So the building coverage calculation here is that.
Yeah.
Impervious.
Well, let me be a little more specific then before your project manager responds. Since it's in the Water Resource Protection District, you're limited in impervious coverage to no more than 15% of the square footage of the lot or 2,500 square feet, whichever is greater, unless a system for artificial recharge of precipitation is in place.
So he's showing with the house with that addition a 10.5% coverage.
Well, but.
Right, but then you have to look at walkways and
All right, that's
other
just
impervious areas.
So to Bruce's point, he
So
said probably brings it over.
Bruce has a
7%,
point.
Right, or 25 square feet, whichever is greater.
Yes.
Right, so the square footage of the extension is what? On my
819 square feet.
819, but that's the footprint.
That is the footprint. That's correct.
All right, so there's that plus the walkways, so is
Yeah,
that
that's with the addition and the house now, obviously there are some walkways, but with the addition and the house, it's a 10.6% lot coverage is what we have. There is a paved area and some walk areas. I'm trying to scale that stuff in now. I don't think we're going to get up to the percentage, but just the building coverage is shown on the plan, as you can see, at 10.5%. So I'd have to calculate it.
Well, if it's below 15%, that's great.
Right. And I think the applicant sounded like they were pretty willing that if it starts to creep up, they're willing to reduce some of the paved area.
Or they could put in something like a rain garden or some other way of capturing the runoff.
Water.
Yeah.
Can we get an updated drawing with the impervious calculations done on it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I don't know. Wait.
No, we can, it's just make a condition.
Yeah.
All right.
And as you go through the permitting process, you'll have to deal with that if you're over that 50%.
Yeah. Something. Okay, any other comments? No?
No.
Yes? No?
All right, I make a motion on the fifth application of a road of 11 Louise Lane, request of special permit finding in accordance with MGL chapter 48, section 6, section 810 of the Scituate bylaw, any other relief the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the construction of an attached garage for living space above through 350 non-conforming single family dwelling. Further plan of Stem Taylor dated January 21, 2025.
Yeah.
And that the addition does not create a new nonconformity, since the extent that it anticipated an existing nonconformity, such classification is not substantially more detrimental to the neighbors.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
We will call the sixth application of Ronaldo Andrade, 12 Mitchell Avenue, Scituate, requesting a special permit finding in accordance with NGL 48, section 6, section 810 of the Scituate bylaws, and or any other relief the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the construction of a second story addition to a pre-existing non-conforming garage. Okay.
Good evening, my name is Irena Matulic. I am an architect here on behalf of the owner, Ronaldo Andrade. He prepared a submission package and unfortunately traveling today, so I don't know if he is present at the, do you see his name just in case?
Yeah, so what we really need and what I don't have and I don't is, so, and it's not in the submission package.
Yes.
So is a plot plan.
Got it.
So is that it?
That's.
Oh, I don't have,
Yeah, we didn't get it.
You
we
didn't
didn't
get
get
the
it,
block
okay.
that? Sorry.
That's okay.
My apologies.
All right.
Would you like to see a hard copy?
Yeah, we'll get one hard copy.
I have extra.
Do you have extra of the plot?
Wonderful.
Beautiful, that's what we need.
And I have enlarged that area.
It's okay, I mean, this is,
It's a bit hard to
Grab
read.
that, that's the signature.
yeah, this one?
Yes.
Want me to make copies real quickly,
Yeah,
or?
we do just one second.
Yeah, this isn't marked at all.
She's gonna make the copies of the other.
Yeah.
Yes, so, I am not sure if the owner is online as well, so he prepared the package, I'm not sure what you have in front of you, but I printed,
Why don't you walk us through the project while we're waiting for the clock?
So is there any house or is it merely a garage on this property?
The house is, that's just,
The garage is way in
Yes,
front.
so-
Yeah, see, that's the. Right, the garage is way in front, but the plan that we have, yeah, I understand, there's the garage, that's
Yes,
that,
yeah.
right? But there's no house on this plot plan.
exactly, that's why I printed, a view from the street to,
Yeah.
for you to see where the house is.
So there's a house
Oh, all
somewhere
right, yeah. The house is-
here. Yeah, I'm just lining it up, right? So the house is here.
So here, you can see the back, far back.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, this is not, alright. So. Yeah, alright. So.
Jack, I can make that a little bigger for you on the screen.
Just make it a little bit bigger for him, so.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Does that help?
Did you maybe check if the owner is online?
I am not seeing him online, no.
Okay, I think I understand the.
Oh. It wouldn't be Michael's iPad, would it?
No.
if the applicant is online, please raise your electronic hand and we'll put you on, otherwise we'll have a discussion about this. So, okay, we have what we have in front of us. We have, so what's the plan? It's just to build a second floor in the existing garage?
Yes. So the reason for this is, to my best understanding, that the house is tucked very far back, and because of setbacks, it's not very convenient, and I don't know if there is enough room to add office space that the client would like. So he would like to build on top of the existing garage one single room where his office would be, and then at the back side of the garage, stair to that same floor. Because
Right.
the existing house is so far back.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. And there's no way to get to the second floor, so he wants an external staircase
Yes.
to the second floor.
Yes.
Okay.
So.
Which is the garage.
The existing use of the garage would not change, right?
Right.
About it.
Alright.
So he provided a couple of very rough sketches about what he has in mind. Those sketches are showing.
Yeah, I mean, I got
The
it.
same volume and then.
Addition
the-
proposed
on top
existing
of
garage.
it.
No plumbing, right? Just electrical, the office up there. Right. Alright, Bob. Questions, comments? I'm not lulling, but, I don't know.
The interesting thing is if this were, adjacent to the rear property line, you'd be in danger of creating a new non-conforming.
Right.
But it's not.
Right.
So that doesn't come into play. So, I think it is what it is,
Oh, because
There's
of
no-
the angle on the rear property, like you'd be.
Well, no,
So we have
a one-story building within 8 feet of the rear property.
Right,
A two-story building needs to be 20 feet from the rear.
Right,
property.
right, from the side, it's not the side.
But
Right.
this
And this is
isn't
the
the rear
front,
property.
this is the front and the side, not the rear.
I think you have to just think what you've got in front of you and make a decision.
I know this property, Ronaldo was an old customer. I walked through this when he was in the process of buying it, and we walked through the garage and talked about this project.
Okay.
It's an old garage, I'm wondering, I think structurally, yes, should You know, is he gonna end up tearing it down and having to build a whole new one? I don't know.
Yeah, that would be something if it came, when it comes for a building permit.
You'll look to see.
We're gonna have to visit that issue.
Exactly. Sure. But, you know, just in general, you know, he's a good guy, you know, he likes high quality work, so this wouldn't be anything kind of accurate.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. He did explain that he wanted an office update, he liked the view, and I think if he does an update, it'll be able to just sneak a peek of the outside.
Okay, right. I understand. Yeah, so it's not. No non-conformity. Second floor, there's no plumbing, right? So we don't have any of that scope creep. Do we have any, there's nobody else in the room. Is there anybody online who wants to talk about this?
No.
All right.
It's just really close to the road and really, really close to the neighbors. Yeah.
Which is where it is right now.
Yeah. Well, sure, but it's half as tall.
That's right. Oh, sure. But to Bob's point, right, because of the way bylaws were written, right, it's not technically a non-conformity, right? We're not changing the setback, right? The setback of that building, whether it's 1 floor or 2 floors, is the same. If we were towards the back, right, 2-floor building has to be further away.
Sure.
So to your point, right, if our bylaws were a little bit different, we could address it, so 100%. But I don't know that it's a new non-conformity.
So you exemption out like this would be because it's detrimental to the city.
If you don't like it, yes, that's correct. You would say it's no non-conformance, but it might be considered substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Now, it's a garage. Some garages are 1 floor, some garages are 4.5, right?
Do you do an elevation? It's going from 14.5 to 23.
Right.
7 feet.
7 feet, right? It's not doubling in height. It's 7 feet high. We'll probably put a seat, and then drop the ceiling down, and give yourself a little headroom. Justin, any comments?
No, I'm curious though. Isn't the piece of land that frontage? Did I see a for sale sign on that property not long ago? Is it maybe an adjacent? It never really added up to me. It's more a curiosity question. I thought it said land, but obviously not. It would have really no effect on this either way.
No, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it looks like everybody's there, unless they were looking at something for the back.
Right.
Yeah. Can you scroll down a little bit?
Yes, sir.
Stop.
We don't have, like,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean, it's like, this is a substantive question, like, substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. Could be an objective set of criteria in that shade.
Sure, but you need something like that before you go.
And we don't have any of that to
No.
be able to substantial.
Light, air, traffic.
I just don't like it because it's really close to the road.
Right.
Tall, and it's gonna be tall.
A little taller, and again, it's already really close to the road, right?
It's already really close to the road.
So that's, and it's not moving, it's not any closer, it's just getting taller, right, by 7 feet. So,
And
yeah.
it's just office space too, I believe, right? There's no,
Yes.
there's,
No, just 4
There's no
walls,
plumbing.
no closet, no nothing, it's just making space.
Yeah, I mean, look, would we like it better if it is a raise and reconstruct and move back? Sure, but again, it's an existing structure that he is just expanding up in the one direction that we have limited ability to comment on. All right,
I'll make a motion on the 6th application of Ronaldo DeAndre, for Mitchell Ave, Scituate, request a special permit finding in accordance with MGL Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 810 of the Scituate bylaw, and or any other relief that the Board of Appeals may grant to allow the construction of a second floor addition to a pre-existing non-conforming garage per the plan of Grady Consulting dated December 24, 2024, and that the board find that such addition does not create any new nonconformities, and to the extent that it intensifies an existing nonconformity, such intensification is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
I'm second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, you can vote no. Aye, go with it, okay, you're allowed, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Elizabeth, do we have any other business?
We do not.
Okay.
Motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting closed, stand aside.